Be'ezrat Hashem Barach. We are Daf Kuf Yud Gimel 113 by the two dots, a couple of lines from the top. So we learned in the previous Mishnah, or in this Mishnah, it says, Im yeshetim shitovo, hare ze nishba venotel. If a person has witnesses that he demanded payment from the guy in the proper time, so then he's allowed to swear and then take. We said that a person can only swear and take when it's in the period that immediately follows, meaning either the night that follows or the day that follows based on when he was working. So over here, the Mishnah is saying that if he has witnesses to tell us that he made the claim to the Barabait before the time was up, he's allowed to swear and collect even after the time is up. Okay? So it says the Gemara, V'hakatavo lekaman. Says the Gemara, wait a second. He's right now in the middle of swearing in front of us, like he's in the middle of demanding the money from him in front of us. So that means the time probably passed, right? Amar Rav Asi, shitav o bismano. It's talking about where he demanded payment in the proper time, and therefore that's why he's allowed to swear afterwards and take it. Okay. Says the Gemara, but how do we know? Maybe after, meaning in between the time that he asked him to pay and the time that he's coming to Bedin to make the Shavua to collect the money, how do we know? Maybe, he collected in the meantime. Amar Abaye, shitav'o kol zmano.
There is no sound.
He demanded the payment from him just at the end of the chiyuv, the zman chiyuv, just at the end of the time that he was allowed to. So therefore, nothing happened in between that time. Meaning, nothing happened in between the time that he finished working to the time that he asked this payment. Olam lo parale, and he didn't pay him. Why? Because we see that he came to him all the way at the end, and he demanded his payment, meaning he didn't pay him up till then. Amar Rabbi Chama bar Ukva keneged oto yom shel teviyah. Rabbi Chama bar Ukva says that the only time that he can collect afterwards with the Shavua, even though the time passed, is only a corresponding day. Meaning, let's say he worked for him on Sunday, right? He worked for him on Sunday, the whole day Sunday. Normally, he has to collect the whole Sunday night. Comes Monday morning, that's normally the time that it's over. He can no longer demand the payment from him. He can no longer make a Shavua to collect the payment, right? Now, says the Gemara, what happens over here? If he wants, what he's able to do is, if he has edim, if he has witnesses to say that he claimed at the end of Sunday, we say Sunday night, and we end up explaining it's the end of Sunday night. But if we have witnesses to say that he claimed Sunday night throughout the night, then he's even able to swear a couple of days later, at least that's what we think, to collect the money. Says the Gemara at the end, no, it's not a couple of days later. What it is also we're not sure maybe the guy received payment or not received payment. So we say that when did he demand the payment? He demanded the payment all the way at the end of the day. Okay, he demanded all the way at the end of the night. Sorry, all the way at the end of Sunday night, right before Monday morning. So we know that throughout this whole time, he didn't pay him yet because he's not going to come and demand payment the second time. That's number one. Number two, says the Gemara, when he's allowed to swear and take, it's only throughout the following day. Meaning he's not able to come back 10 days later and make a Shavua and take the money. No, because otherwise we're afraid that there might be something that goes on over here. So therefore we said that he only has one more day to swear and demand the payment. Okay? Says the Mishnah. If a person lends his friend money, he's only allowed to take a security in Bedin, and we're going to explain in the Gemara what that means. Like what? He can't go take a security. We're talking about where after the fact, meaning it's not that the loan was made on a security. He made the loan. He wasn't able to pay back the loan, and now we want to take a security to make sure that he's going to end up paying the loan. Okay. So says the Gemara, says the Mishnah, and one thing's for sure, he's not allowed to enter the house of the borrower to take the security. You have to stand outside. If he has two types of utensils, okay? Notel echad umeniach echad. He can take one and leaves one. Umachzir et hakar balayla v'et hamachresha bayom. And he returns the pillow at night and the machresha and the plow during the day. Why all this? Because the Torah tells us that non, ici il devrait avoir, vous êtes supposed to have. It says the microphone is on. Okay, maybe it's this one. Yeah. Maybe it's this one or two. Ask him if it works now. Okay.
Non, c'est mute là.
Non, ça c'est pour lui. He's on mute. Okay, so the reason why the Gemara is telling the Mishnah is telling it to us like this, because the Torah says that if a person has he's a poor person, right? He borrowed money, he probably doesn't have money. So the Torah tells us that you're not allowed to take from him his means of living, meaning that if he has a garment that he wears for the day, you have to make sure that you give him back this garment throughout the day, right? If he has only one garment, one he has for the day, one he has for the night. So comes the day, you have to give him back the garment of the day, take the garment of the night. At the night, you take back the garment of the day and you give him the garment of the night, meaning you're going to be switching off to make sure that you still have the security. But on the other hand, he also he's gonna have at least the minimum of what to live. Okay, so if he has only a pillow and a machresha and a plow, so you take from him the pillow during the day and you return it at night, and the same thing with the plow, you take the plow during the night and you return it during the day, because that's not when he uses it. Says the Gemara, Mishnah, ve'imet, and if the borrower died, eno machzir li'oshav, he doesn't have to return it at night or during the day, respectively, to the inheritors. Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel אומר, אף לעצמו אינו מחזיר אלא עד 30 יום. ומשלושים יום ולהלן מוכרן בבית דין. He says, the Rabban Shimon Gamliel says that this is only true that he has to take and return only for the first 30 days. After 30 days, says Rabban Shimon ben Gamliel, he says that's it. He's able to sell whatever it is, and he doesn't return it even to this person. Okay. Gemara. Amar Shmuel. Shmuel says, Shaliach bedin minateach netuche, aval mashkuni lo. Says the Gemara, the Shaliach of the bedin is able to come and grab an item from the borrower. Okay. But he cannot come and force himself basically to grab a security. Meaning, he sees the guy in the street, he sees the guys walking around with a valuable thing. So the Shliach Bedin is able to come, he's able to grab this valuable thing, but he's not allowed to take a security. He's not allowed to take a security, and the Gemara is gonna explain. Says the Gemara, V'hatnan hamalvet chavero lo yimashkenu ele bevedin. Says the Gemara, it says mefurash in the Mishnah that he's only able to take the security through bedin. Michlal de bedin kanin, that we're able to take the mashkon, we're able to take the security from bedin. Okay, so how do we resolve this contradiction? Amar le Shmuel. So Shmuel says, and it's very important because now the Gemara is going to ask a lot of questions on Shmuel. So what does Shmuel say? He's only able to grab from him by bedin. Okay. And this is also logical, the Katani Seifa, because it says in the Seifa, lo yikanes lebeto litol mashkono. Okay, so he says that you're not able to go into the house to take his mashkon. And Shmuel is assuming that who is this applying to? This is applying to even the Shaliach Bedin, where he's not allowed to go into the person's house to take the security, and only outside he's allowed to do something like that. Yeah. Says the Gemara, Ilema Ba'al Chov Mani. So sorry, says the Gemara, Mani. Who's not allowed to go inside to collect the security? Ilema Ba'al Chov, if you're going to tell me that it's the borrower, the person that lent the person that the lender, the person that lent the money, it says that in the beginning. It says it right in the beginning. That he's only allowed to do it in bedin, right? So you don't need me to tell me that. You don't need me to tell him. You don't need me to tell him that. Okay. Elalav. Rather, what is it talking about? Elalav shliach bedin. It's talking about the shliach bedin, meaning, according to Shmuel right now, what are we saying? We're saying that when it says in the Mishnah, you're only allowed to take the security from Bedin. And then what does it say? Okay, that you have to stand outside. Who is this referring to? It's talking about the Shaliach Bedin. The second part is talking about the Shaliach Bedin. The first part is talking about is talking about the lender himself. So who's Bachutz Ta'amod? Talking about the Shaliach Bedin. Okay. Says the Gemara, Imishumha lo iria. If it's only because of this, it doesn't make sense to say that. Why? Hachi kamal. This is what you can say. Hamalvet chavero, a person who lends his friend, lo yimashkenenu ela bevedin. You can only do it in bedin. Michlal de bevedin memashkenin. But from bedin, it sounds like the bedin can go into the person's house, right? Uval chov, and a Baal Chov afilu netuchin nami lo. Even the Baal Chov himself is never allowed to grab something when he sees in the street. Shelo yikanes leveto veitor mashkono. Why? So that he should not come to possibly go into the person's house to take the mashkon. Meaning that the Gemara is saying that we just tried asking a question that Shmuel, he tried saying that what? Look at the Mishnah. The Mishnah says, right? And then it says, and then afterwards it says that you're allowed to, the Shaliach Bedin is allowed to grab it in public. Right? So it says, wait a second, who is it talking about grabbing in public? If you're talking about that it's only the lender, it doesn't make sense, because you said he's not allowed to go inside the house. So it says the Gemara that it must be talking about who? The lender, and then not only the Shaliach Bedin. And the Shaliach Bedin, he would be able to technically go and take it. Okay. Mati Rav Yosef. Rav Yosef asks a question. He's not allowed to take, right? This is a pasuk. He's not allowed to take the upper millstone and the bottom millstone. He's able to take, right? Lo tachavor beged almana. If it says in the pasuk, lo tachavor beged almana, you cannot take the garment of an almana. Hashir achirim tachavor. But it sounds like what? The other garments you can't take. Okay, man. So now the Gemara is asking, or Rav Yosef is asking, man, who are we talking about taking? Inem Baal Chov. If we're talking about the Baal Chov is taking, haktiv lo tavo el beto lavod avoto. It says very clearly, lo tavo el beto lavod avoto. El alav shliach bedin. It's talking about the shliach bedin, and what do we see? That the shliach bedin is able to take it. So Tirgema Rav Papa bered Rav Nachman, Kameh de Rav Yosef, Be'amrina Rav Papa bered Rav Yosef, Kameh de Rav Yosef. Leolam beva'al chov. Who are we talking about? We're talking about really the lender, that the lender cannot go into the house. And but why do we need another pasuk? Don't we have a pasuk? One already says bachutz ta'amod that you have to stand outside. So why do we need a second pasuk to tell me that he cannot come in? So he answers, V'la'avo alav bishnei lavin. to tell me that he's going to be chayav in two ravin, he's going to be chayav in two different isurim. Okay, so basically what the Gemara is basically trying to figure out this whole time right now is two things, or is one thing technically. Is the Shaliach Bedin allowed to go into the house or not? Shmuel says no, right? And then the Gemara asks, so far the Gemara asks two questions on him, and the Gemara answered. The Gemara is going to continue to ask on the opinion of Shmuel that says that even the Shaliach Bedin is not allowed to go inside. Tashema, mimashma sheneemar bachutz ta'amod, eni yodea she'a'ish asher ata noshe bo yotzi. From the fact that it says in the pasuk bachutz ta'amod, it's obvious that the man that you're coming to collect from is the one that has to take it out. So why does the pasuk have to say both of them? Bachutz ta'amod ve'a'ish asher ata noshe bo yotzi elecha. Right? So what does it have to say both? And what does the Torah come to tell me when it brings the continuation of ve'a'ish, the man is going to come to take it out? Lerabot shaliach bedin, to teach me the shaliach bedin, that what? Even the shaliach bedin is able to take it out. So even the shaliach bedin. So says the Gemara, wait a second. My love, shaliach bedin kilove, isn't the shaliach bedin going to be considered like the love? Okay. Okay.
Acts on its behalf.
Yeah, that he's gonna, that he's the it's trying to tell me that he's gonna be like the love, that he's allowed to go into the house to take it out. Okay. So says the Gemara, no, shaliach bedin kemalve. The shaliach bedin is going to be like the malve, the lender, in order to tell me that he's not going to be able to go out. So again, to repeat that, we had the Torah that said, bachutz ta'amod, you have to stand outside. Ve'a'ish asher ata noshe bo hu yotzi elecha. He's going to be the one that takes it out. So said the Gemara, ve'a'ish, who's the ish coming to include? The man. So the Gemara is assuming that it's going to be that what? That the ish, meaning the borrower, is going to be able to take it out, or ve'ha'ish, who's going to be the ish? The ish is going to be a shaliach bedin, meaning the shaliach bedin is going to be is going to have the same power as the borrower in order to be able to take out mashkon outside of the house. Okay, and then this is going to be a question on Shmuel. Says the Gemara, no, shaliach bedin kemalve. The shaliach bedin is going to be like the malve, meaning to say ve'a'ish asher ata noshe bo, only the borrower is going to be allowed to take it out, and bachutz ta'amod is going to come to include even the shaliach bedin. תשמע, אם חבור תחבור סלמת רעך, בשליח בדין הכתוב מדבר. אתה אומר בשליח בדין הכתוב מדבר, או אינו אלא בבעל חוב, שהוא אומר לא תבוא אל ביתו לעבוד עבודו, הרי בעל חוב אמור. Says the Gemara like this. When it says, if you will take the garment of your man, of your fellow man, right? Salmat re'echa, of your friend. It's talking about the shliach bedin. Says the Gemara that the shliach bedin, he's able to do it. Okay. Says the Gemara. Maybe it's talking about the Baal Chov, right? Maybe the Baal Chov would be allowed to take it. Says the Gemara, lo tavo el beito la'avod avoto. You cannot come into his house to take it. So what does that mean? That's referring to the Baal Chov. That means when it says im chavor tachvor salmat ra'echa, that you're able to forcibly take the security, it's coming to exclude the shaliach bedin. Why? Because we said the shaliach bedin is able to take forcibly. I would think that you're not able to take forcibly. Why? Because it says lo tavo el beito, you cannot come into his house. Who is the pasuk talking about? You cannot come into his house. It's talking about the owner, right? So if it's talking about the owner, that means that what we were talking about previously, that you're able to take it forcibly, it's talking about shaliach bedin, and it was excluding him from taking from the house. So
He takes it forcibly, then that is
again
taking it from the house.
No, it's like he can be taking it from the street. But again, what's the Gemara? The Gemara is assuming that he can take it forcibly from the house. Im chavor tachbor sagal madrecha. You shall forcibly take it. Who is it talking about? Shariach bedin. Okay. Then the Gemara says, wait a second. How do I know it's Shariach bedin? Maybe it's talking about the owner, the borrower, the person that lent. Sorry, the lender, the person that gave the money. Says the Gemara, it can't be him. Why? Because it says lo tavor beto. You cannot come into his house. So that means that the Baal Chov cannot come into his house. Says the Gemara. From this, what do we infer?
It's gotta be
That only the Baal Chov cannot come into the house. But Chavor Tachbor, the person who is doing Chavor Tachbor, can come into the house. Who is that? Shariach bedin. Okay. Okay. So it says very clearly, or it appears to be very clear, that the Shaliach bedin would be allowed to come into the house to take the security. Huh? Exactly, and that's contradicting the opinion of Shmuel that says that even the Shariach bedin, he's not allowed to come. He's not allowed to go into the house of the person. Says the answers the Gemara. Tanaihi. In reality, it's machloket tanaim. That what? One Tana says that the Shariach bedin can go into the house. The other one says that you can't. And then obviously Shmuel is going to be like the opinion that says that you cannot. The Tanya, we learned in a baita, Shaliach bedin sheba lemashkeno. If a Shaliach bedin comes to take a security, lo yikanes lebeto lemashkeno ela omed mi bachutz. He cannot come into the house, rather he stands outside. Says the Gemara, ve'alo motzilo mashkon, and then the borrower is going to take out the mashkon. Shneimar bachutz ta'amod v'ha'ish. Okay, he brings down the pasuk that you have to stand outside, and when he says this, it means to include even the person that's standing, even the Shaliach bedin. Vitanya idach, and then there's another braita that says, Ba'al chov sheba lemashkino, if the owner, right, or the lender is coming to take a security, lo yikanes lebeto lemashkino, elo omed mi bachutz. He cannot come into the house, he has to stand outside. Ve'alo nichnas, and then the lender, the borrower is going to go inside, umotzi lo mashkono, and he's going to take it out, shneimar bachutz ta'amod, because it says that he has to stand outside. V'shariach bedin sheba lemashkino, and the shariach bedin that's coming to do the mashkon, and he's able to go into the house and take the mashkon. But says the Gemara, he's not allowed to take from him as a security things that he needs to be able to survive, meaning things that he needs to be able to eat. Okay? Vinoten, and he has to give him mita, he has to give him a bed, umita umatza leashir, and a bed and sheets and a mattress, I guess you can say, for an ashir. Okay, umita umapatz leani, and he has to give him a bed and a bed with a mat for an ani. Meaning, says the Gemara, that when he's coming to take a security, he can basically take anything unless it's necessary for him to continue working. Plus, he has to leave him a bed, one bed plain, and another bed with some sort of bedding, depending on if he's rich or poor. Okay? So says the Gemara that when he's doing this, he only has to leave, for the actual person, but he doesn't have to leave anything for the wife and for the children. Meaning he can take the beds of the wife and the children. Okay? And the same way, the same way that we evaluate these things by Baal Chov, meaning the lenders and borrowers, is the same way we do it by Arachin. Arachin is when a person offers his worth to the Bet HaMikdash. Says the Gemara, it should be exactly the opposite. Ikar sidur ba'arachin ktiv. Who's the one that? Where do we learn these whole halachot of you have to leave for the owner? You evaluate the owner. Where do you learn this from? From Elachin. So it says the Gemara, you're right. Ela ema. The same way that we evaluate by arachin, by the evaluations of a person who donates his worth to the Bet HaMikdash, kach mesadrin beBaal Chov is the same way that we evaluate by Baal Chov, meaning that the Gemara switched the priority over here. Amar, Says that we just finished. We just said noten mita umita umatzah le'asher. He gives a bed and like a blanket, like a mattress to Asher. Mita umita umapatz le'ani. Okay, and he gives the bed and another bed with a mat to the ani. Liman. Okay, who's the second bed for? If you're going to say that the extra bed is for his wife and his children, didn't you? We just say that you have to give him the bed, but not to the wife and to the children. Says the Gemara that both of these beds are for the person. So says the Gemara, why does he need two beds? Right? Why are you giving him a bed and a bed with a quilt and or a bed with a mat? Right? Says the Gemara, chada de'achil ala v'chada de'zag ala. One, so that he can eat on it, and another one so that he can go to sleep on it. Meaning, back then we know that how would they eat? They would eat basically lying down, right? That's why we have on Pesach we have the mitzvah to do hasava, to lean, right? Because that's how they would do it, and we say that you have to eat on your left side. You have to eat on your left side. So over here, the Gemara says that he has to give him one bed so that he can eat on, and another bed so that he can sleep on. And the Gemara is going to explain. Why he specifically needs two for this. Says the Gemara, Kiddush Shmuel, like the opinion of Shmuel. The Amar Shmuel, by the way, he was very knowledgeable in refuah, in healing, right? In medicine. So it says the Amar Shmuel, Kol mili yadana asutaihu levar mehani tilat. I know how to cure anything besides for three things. Man de'achil ahina merira aliba rekana. A person who eats a bitter date on an empty stomach. Okay. Uman de'asam mitna de'kitna retiva achatze. If a person puts on, right, they would have a belt. It would be like a cloth belt. So if he puts on a damp cloth belt, he puts it on his waist, right? Damp, c'est un petit peu mouillé. It's a little bit wet. It's not full. It's not like soaking, but it's you touch it and you realize that it was wet. Okay. Uman, and what's the third thing? Uman de'achinama, a person who's going to eat bread. Velo mazgi arba'a galmidi, and he doesn't walk 4 amot before going to sleep. Why? Because again, he's eating over there. He's eating on the bed, right? What happens? Person eats on the bed. Very often he gets tired. What happens? He goes to sleep right away. So says Shmuel that if a person goes to sleep without walking 4 amot first, he doesn't know how to cure something like this. He knows how to cure almost anything, but these are one of the things that he doesn't cure. So what do we see? That you have to give him 2 beds, right? One bed so that he can eat on, and the second bed so that he can sleep on. Why? So that he's going to be able to eat on one bed, and then he's going to be kind of forced to go to the other bed, which has the pillow, the blanket, whatever it is, so that he can go to sleep properly on the other bed, and he's going to walk 4 amot. Okay. Says the Gemara, Tani Tana Kame de Rav Nachman. So there was there was a Rav that said in front of Rav Nachman, כדרך שמסדרים בערכין, כך מסדרים בבעל חוב. The same way that we evaluate בערכין, this is the way we do by the בעל חוב. That what? That if he's gonna be a rich person or he's gonna be a poor person. So and then based on that, that's how we're gonna know to give him either the mattress or the mat to sleep on. So Elmaleh Hashta zevuni mazbininan le sedurim masedrinan le. That once you're able basically to sell everything of his, then you have to start making an assessment. He's rich, he's poor. What does this mean, right? Says the Gemara, is that true? Are we able to sell everything of his? Are we able to sell something of his? Meaning, are we able to say like he has a thick mattress? Are we able to sell this mattress and give him like a smaller one? V'hatanan machzir takar balayla. Says the Gemara, you have to return it says that you have to return the pillow at night, ואת המחרשה ביום, and you have to return the plow during the day, meaning that what? You're not allowed to sell them. Yeah? What does the Mishnah say? The Mishnah said that if he took a pillow, he has to return the pillow at night, and if he took a plow, he has to return the plow during the day. So are we allowed to sell them? No. So says the Gemara, Tana ki Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel Tana Kame. So it says no. He said like Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel. Rabban Shimon ben Gamliel. We saw in the Mishnah. What did he say? He said that you can sell. Okay, and this is what he meant to say. So according to Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel, that you're able to sell everything. You now have to make him a valuation. He's rich, he's poor. What does that mean? Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel, Rabban Shimon ben Gamliel Omer, af le'atzmo eno machzir. Even to the borrower himself, you don't have to return. Meaning you only have to read that which it says in the Mishnah that you have to return the pillow at the night and the plow during the day is only for 30 days. After 30 days, according to Rabban Shimon ben Gamliel, you're able to sell it. Mikan ve'elach mochin bevedin. You're able to sell them mochan bevedin. You're able to sell them in a bedin. Okay, so what do we see? So again, we see that you're able to sell it. So why do we have to start making evaluations? He's a poor person. He's a rich person. Say you sell whatever you're selling, right? How do you know that which Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel said that you're able to sell it? It means you're able to sell it. You're really able to sell it, meaning you're able to sell it for good. Maybe this is what Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel meant to say. Until 30 days, meaning the first 30 days, you actually have to give it back every single day. Mikan ve'elach mihadar lemai dechazile umezavin lemai delo chazile. Maybe according to Rabbi Shimon Gamliel, that which he said you're able to sell it, you're able to sell the things after 30 days, is only talking about something that he didn't forcibly need. Meaning what? That again, he has let's say he has a car that he needs to get to work. Okay, so he has a very expensive car. So what do we do? But it's his car to go to work, right? So what is he going to do? He's going to tell him, listen, you don't need such a fancy car. You're going to take the car, sell the car, give you a smaller car, and that's it. Meaning the first 30 days, every night he's going to take the car, right? Every night he's going to take the car, and in the morning he has to give it back to him so he can go back to work. After 30 days, what is he going to be able to do? He's going to be able to sell the car, give him a cheaper car, until he pays back the whole loan. Maybe that's what it means when Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel said that you can sell, and therefore that's why even though he's able to sell, we still make the evaluation. Says the Gemara, if you're going to say that this is what Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel really holds, he holds of this svara, there's never anything going to be that's not fit for him, that's not fit for his station. Why? The Amar Abaye, because Abaye said, pay attention to it. It's a bunch of opinions that say the same thing. Rabban Shimon ben Gamliel, Rabbi Shimon, Rabbi Ishmael, Rabbi Akiva. So these four Rabbanim, Hulehu Sevira Lehu, Kol Israel b'nei melachin hen. All of these Rabbanim, meaning Rabban Shimon ben Gamliel, who this is the one that interests us the most, they all hold that Bnei Israel, Bnei Melachim Hem, meaning we are the children of kings, which means that we are used to luxury items, which means that we're all going to be technically under the umbrella of being rich. Why? Rabban Shimon ben Gamliel. How do we know this from Rabban Shimon ben Gamliel? Detnan lo et haluf velo et hachardal. You're not able to move on Shabbat. Aluf is a type of bean, okay, that's very bitter and very hard to eat. And Rabban Shimon ben Gamliel matir beluf mipnei shu ma'achal le'ovim. So he says like this, on Shabbat you're not allowed to so exactly. So I'm going to explain. So he says like this, on Shabbat, you're not allowed to move something that has no purpose for you, right? It's called muktzeh. Now, if it's food that's fit to eat, you could move it. Now, chardal raw mustard, right, before it's ground, you can't eat it. It's impossible to eat. You have to grind it, you have to do, only then can you eat it. Okay, so chalda, you're not allowed to touch. The loof, you're not either allowed to touch. Why? Because the only thing that's going to eat the loof is orvim. Now, orvim is something, orev is, the raven, is something that no one's going to have as a pet. The only person that's going to have it as a pet is what? Is a rich person, right? You can have any type of pet. So Rabban Shimon ben Gamliel says that anyone is allowed to move the loof. Wait a second. The loof is only for rich people. Why? Because only rich people would have a raven. But yet, what do we see? That you're allowed to move it. So even though he's not a rich person, he still has the status of a rich person, and he would be allowed to move it. So this is how we see Rabban Shimon ben Gamliel says that every person, every Jew is considered to be, Bnei Melachim is considered to be a rich person. Okay? Rabbi Shimon, where do we see Rabbi Shimon holds that Bnei Israel are all considered to be rich? Ditnan, Bnei Melachim Sachin Shemen Vered al Gabe Makotehen b'Shabbat. The children of kings can put oil, rose oil, okay, oil of roses or whatever it is, al gabe makotehen on Shabbat, on top of wounds on Shabbat. Sheken darkan lasuch b'chol, and because it's the way it's the way for them to anoint like this on the weekday, and we know that who actually does that? Only rich people. But yet we see that he doesn't make the distinction, and he says even a poor person can put this type of oil on Shabbat because it's regular to do it during the week. Okay, Rabbi Shimon Omer, Kol Yisrael b'nei melachin he. Okay, Rabbi Ishmael and Rabbi Akiva. How do we know that Rabbi Ishmael and Rabbi Akiva hold that Bnei Israel are all considered to be rich? Detanya, Hare she'ayu noshin bo 1,000 zuz v'levush itztela bat me'a mana mafshitin oto mimenu umalbishin oto itztela haru'i lo. From where do we know? So there's a Bible that says, from where do we know if a person owes a person 1,000 zuz, right? 1,000 gold coins, and he's wearing a coat that's worth 100. Now, yeah, you don't need to wear a coat that's 100, right? You have a person that owes $10,000. He's wearing right now $1,000 suit. Well, why are you wearing a $1,000 suit? You can wear $100 suit, right? It's a suit. $100 is $100. Why do you need $1,000? So how do we know, says the Gemara, that you're able to take it off and give it to him and give him something? V'tana mishum Rabbi Ishmael, v'tana mishum Rabbi Akiva, kol Yisrael re'uyin leoto itztela. So Rabbi Ishmael and Rabbi Akiva both say clearly that even though he's wearing this expensive suit of $1,000, you still leave it by him, because why? Bnei Israel are fit to be wearing proper, like expensive clothing, even if it's not necessarily their actual station. Okay, it says the Gemara, "Ulmai desalika datin mikara diahivle," that which we thought in the beginning, to say in the beginning that you can give it to him, "Mai dechazile umizvinan mai delo chazile," and we're able to sell what is not fit for him. Says the Gemara, "Bishlama kava keset chazile de beni ela machresha lemay chazia." Says the Gemara, how can you even entertain such a thought that you would sell something that he doesn't, that is not fit for a station? It says that there's a machresha that he's able to sell he's not able to sell the machresha, the plow, right? So he says that you would be able to sell the plow. So what do you mean? How can you think that you're able to sell the plow for something else? Like, what do you mean it's not, a plow is not fit for a station? That's when he needs to work. Amarava baraba machresha de kaspa. We're talking about if he was plowing with a silver plow. So a silver plow, yes, you couldn't technically be able to sell, and buy a cheaper plow, and the difference would go to the borrower. Amen ve'amen.